Rex and Carol, high school sweethearts, married for 40 years. They lived in a quaint Idaho town surrounded by mountains and secrets. One crisp autumn evening, they vanished. No note, no sign of struggle, just an empty house. A chilling silence fell over the valley. Their disappearance baffled everyone. Rex, a retired teacher, Carol, a beloved librarian, they were pillars of the community. Their neighbors were stunned. Friends were heartbroken. The police had no leads. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The case grew cold. The investigation started strong. Every resource was utilized. Police combed through the couple's home. Nothing. They interviewed friends, family, neighbors. No clues. Suspicions arose. An argument at the local diner. A stranger in town. All dead ends. Months passed with no progress. The case went cold. The mystery deepened. The town buzzed with theories. Foul play, a secret life, or something more sinister. The truth remained elusive. Years passed. The case remained unsolved. The town never forgot Rex and Carol, their faces on missing posters, their story whispered in hushed tones. Hope faded, but the pain lingered. Their disappearance left a scar on the community, a sense of unease, a fear of the unknown. The unanswered questions haunted everyone. Who would do this? Why? The mystery became a chilling reminder. Evil can lurk anywhere, even in a peaceful town like this. A decade later, a glimmer of hope. Advances in DNA technology. A national database, a match, the DNA from the crime scene. It belonged to a relative, a nephew, Mark. Mark had always been quiet, unassuming. He lived on the outskirts of town. He had visited Rex and Carol the day they disappeared. He claimed he knew nothing. But the DNA told a different story. Police brought him in for questioning. The evidence was overwhelming. Section 5. Justice delayed, not denied, the trial and conviction. The trial was a media frenzy. Reporters from all over the country descended upon the small town, eager to cover every detail of the case. The courthouse steps were crowded with journalists, their cameras flashing and microphones thrust forward, capturing every moment. The public was equally captivated, with people lining up outside the courthouse hoping to catch a glimpse of the proceedings. The small town became the center of attention. Normally a quiet and peaceful place, it was now buzzing with activity. Local businesses saw an influx of visitors, and the streets were filled with a mix of curious onlookers and media personnel. The case had put the town on the map, but not in the way anyone had hoped. The prosecution presented a strong case. They meticulously laid out the evidence, starting with the DNA analysis. Scientists testified about the rigorous testing procedures, ensuring the accuracy of the results. Witnesses took the stand, recounting their experiences and observations. Each piece of evidence was like a puzzle piece, fitting together to form a compelling narrative, a history of financial problems for Mark. The prosecution delved into his financial records, revealing a pattern of debt and financial mismanagement. They argued that these financial woes provided a motive for the crime. Mark's stress and desperation were evident, painting a picture of a man pushed to the brink. The defense argued for reasonable doubt. They challenged the prosecution's evidence, questioning the reliability of the witnesses and the integrity of the DNA testing. The defense attorney passionately argued that the evidence was circumstantial, and that there were too many unanswered questions to convict Mark beyond a reasonable doubt. They pointed to a lack of physical evidence, but it wasn't enough. Despite their efforts, the defense couldn't shake the jury's belief in the prosecution's case. The absence of concrete physical evidence was overshadowed by the compelling narrative woven by the prosecution. The jury reached a verdict, guilty. The courtroom fell silent as the foreperson read the verdict. The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air, a culmination of weeks of testimony and evidence. The judge nodded solemnly, acknowledging the jury's decision. A collective gasp filled the courtroom. The reality of the verdict hit everyone at once. Family members clutched each other, some in disbelief, others in sorrow. The tension that had been building throughout the trial finally reached its peak. The judge sentenced Mark to life in prison. Justice had been served. The gavel came down with a resounding thud, marking the end of the trial. Mark was led away in handcuffs, his fate sealed. The sound of the prison cell door closing echoed the finality of the sentence. But it came at a price. The emotional toll on everyone involved was immense. Families were torn apart, friendships strained, and the community left to pick up the pieces. The trial had brought justice, but it had also left a trail of heartache and pain. The truth was more shocking than anyone could have imagined. As the details of the case continued to unfold, new revelations came to light, adding layers of complexity to an already intricate story. The trial may have ended, but the impact of its revelations would be felt for years to come. Section 6. Picking up the pieces, the family's agony and relief. The revelation shattered the family. It was as if the ground beneath their feet had crumbled, leaving them in a free fall of emotions. The news hit them like a tidal wave, sweeping away any sense of normalcy they had left. They clung to each other, seeking solace in shared grief, but the pain was palpable, raw, and unrelenting. Betrayal, anger, grief. These emotions coursed through their veins, each one more intense than the last. They struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the betrayal. How could someone they trusted, someone they loved, be capable of such a heinous act? The questions swirled in their minds, unanswered and haunting. How could someone they loved do this? The disbelief was overwhelming. They replayed memories, searching for signs they might have missed, clues that could have hinted at the darkness lurking beneath the surface. But there were none. The person they thought they knew was a stranger, and the realization was devastating. The weight of the truth was unbearable. It pressed down on them, suffocating and relentless. Every breath was a struggle, every moment a reminder of the pain they were enduring. They felt as if they were drowning in a sea of sorrow, with no lifeline in sight. Yet there was a sense of relief, closure. After years of uncertainty and unanswered questions, they finally had the truth. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was also a step towards healing. The truth, no matter how painful, was a necessary part of their journey towards recovery. The family had waited a decade for answers. Now they had them. 10 long years of sleepless nights of wondering and worrying had finally come to an end. The answers they sought were not what they had hoped for, but they were answers nonetheless. And in that, there was a small measure of peace. But the scars of the past remained. The memories of happier times were now tainted by the knowledge of what had happened. Every photograph, every memento, was a reminder of the betrayal. The pain was etched into their hearts, a permanent mark that would never fully fade. The healing process was just beginning. They knew it would be a long and arduous journey, but they were determined to move forward. Therapy sessions, support groups, and the unwavering love of family and friends would be their guiding lights. They would lean on each other, finding strength in their shared experiences. They would never forget Rex and Carol. Their memories were a source of both comfort and pain. The love they had shared, the moments they had cherished, would live on in their hearts. They would honor their memory, keeping their spirits alive through stories and tributes. Their memory would live on, in every candle lit, in every tear shed, in every word spoken in their honor. Rex and Carol were gone, but they were not forgotten. Their legacy was one of love, resilience, and the enduring power of family. A bittersweet reminder of love, loss, and the enduring power of truth. The family's journey was far from over, but they had taken the first steps towards healing. They would face the future with courage, holding on to the love that had sustained them through the darkest of times. Section 7. Echoes of a crime the community remembers. The town was in shock. Mark's conviction sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors who had known him for years, friends who had trusted him. They grappled with the truth. How could they have been so wrong? The community came together, to remember Rex and Carol, to support their family, to heal. The tragedy brought them closer. It reminded them of the importance of community, of looking out for one another, and of never forgetting the victims. Section 8. A new era of justice, DNA's expanding role. The case highlighted the power of DNA technology. It was a groundbreaking moment that showcased how far forensic science had come. The meticulous process of collecting, analyzing, and matching DNA samples became a beacon of hope for many unsolved cases. Its ability to solve cold cases was nothing short of revolutionary. Cases that had been dormant for decades suddenly had new life. Families who had long given up hope were now seeing the possibility of closure. To bring justice to victims and their families, DNA evidence became an invaluable tool. The emotional reunions and the courtroom victories were testaments to its power. It wasn't just about solving crimes, it was about healing wounds that had festered for years. Law enforcement agencies across the country took notice. Cold cases were reopened, new leads were investigated. The ripple effect was felt nationwide as detectives and officers were reinvigorated by the potential of DNA technology. DNA became a game changer in the fight for justice. The advancements in technology meant that even the smallest sample could yield significant results. It was a new era where science and justice walked hand in hand. The impact of Rex and Carol's case extended far beyond their small town. It was a story that resonated with people everywhere. News broadcasts and headlines celebrated the triumph of technology over time. It served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope remains. The candlelight vigils and the hopeful faces outside courtrooms were symbols of a community's resilience and faith in justice. That technology can be a powerful tool for good. The high-tech forensic labs and the precise DNA match results were proof that science could be a force for positive change, and that justice, though sometimes delayed, can prevail. The sound of the judge's gavel and the celebrations of police officers were the final notes in a symphony of justice, echoing the sentiment that truth and perseverance can ultimately lead to resolution. Section 9. Unanswered questions. Lingering mysteries remain. Despite the conviction, questions lingered. What motivated Mark to commit such a heinous act? What happened in those final moments? The answers remained elusive, lost to time and the depths of Mark's silence. The mystery of Rex and Carol's disappearance may never be fully solved, but their story serves as a reminder of the fragility of life, the importance of cherishing loved ones, and the enduring power of hope, even in the face of tragedy.